Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Earlier on this week, we got a quote-unquote major content update as a part of Season 5 Reloaded, that of course being a quote-unquote new Resurgence map in the form of all Bagra Fortress. Now this is something that we had sort of teased and revealed back at the very start of Season 5. They very briefly mentioned on the roadmap and then in a blog back then saying, hey, yeah, you know, we're gonna have Fortress Resurgence dropping, or Fort Resurgence as they call it, dropping a new Resurgence map in the rotation. And well, it's out now. Everyone's been able to actually see it and experience it after it was delayed a week initially from Season 5 Reloaded's launch. And well, at least in my opinion, this update kind of missed the mark. It's definitely something that's correctable and maybe changeable in the future to really optimize this system, but as it stands right now, well, it's just a bit lackluster. As we dive into the details today, if you are new to the channel, every single day I'm your one-stop shop for all things going on in COD, whether it's news, updates, meta breakdowns, you name it, it's going to be right here. So if you want to stay up to date, feel free to hit that subscribe button. And if you enjoy the video, if you enjoy the points that I'm bringing up throughout, do me a favor, drop a like on it. You never know what sharing the video might do for the overall impact on the game. If we can make a positive impact, that's our goal achieved. That's always the ultimate end goal with videos like this, sort of breaking down the pros and cons of various different things implemented in game. And unfortunately, with the Fort Resurgence update in the all Bagra Resurgence map, I feel like there's maybe a few more negative takeaways than positive ones. Real quick, as far as the positives do go, it's a small map, so it's hectic and it's chaotic, but that's kind of where things end. It definitely gives me some Fortune's Keep / Rebirth vibes in terms of the actual fortress itself and the layout there. Obviously very vertical with a lot of different hallways and buildings to traverse, and it's pretty condensed. So like right away, no matter where you're landing, you're gonna have people right on top of you, and pretty much for the entirety of the game, there's gonna be teams in close proximity to you, which is either very good if you're an aggressive player or maybe a little bit stressful if you'd rather take it a bit slower. You're gonna have a lot of loadouts dropping next to you, which then forces players into even more action. So while it is hectic and chaotic and fast-paced, which is not something that can always be said about Warzone 2, it does also end with the lobbies dying out very quickly because of how much non-stop action there is. It's tough to actually take that break and have that resurgence timer kick in and bring players back. But overall, I do feel like this update kind of missed the mark, at least with the map itself and how they're approaching it with this sort of Resurgence edition. Obviously, technically, it can be classified as a third Resurgence map now. So we've got Vondel, we've got Ashika Island, we've got all Bagra Fortress. But I feel like this update could have been so much more, and it could have been being so much more throughout the past couple of seasons. I find it odd that this kind of update is something that took all the way until Season 5 Reloaded. You know, technically now 2 updates away from the end of MW2 and the Warzone 2 MW2 era, basically. What I mean by that is that this is just straight up all Bagra Fortress as a point of interest from all Mazrah, just cut down into a Resurgence player count and with a Resurgence zone. Now, I think for the most part, that's what players should have been expecting. I feel like I've seen a lot of people saying, well, this is just a one-to-one copy of the Al Mazrah map. You know, they didn't change it at all. There's nothing different about it. But they never said that was going to be the case. In fact, this is the exact rundown that was given to us at the start of Season 5. Fort Resurgence dropping during Season 5. A slice of Al Mazrah, specifically the all Bagra Fortress and its greater surroundings, will be added to the Resurgence map rotation in Season 5. No matter how you spend time in Al Mazrah across Warzone and Modern Warfare 2, this map will slot in alongside Ashika Island and Vondel for Resurgence rotation playlists. Initially though, it's not in the rotation playlist, it's just quads as it first launched, which I thought was a little bit weird, but it straight up is just all Bagra Fortress and its greater surroundings. But this is one of the fatal flaws of this map's gameplay: its greater surroundings. Al Bagra Fortress is only accessible and connected to the major Al Mazrah map by one lone bridge. Other than that, it's just water and then the boundaries of the airport and terminal area and Sarif Bay. So when they say the greater surroundings, it's either water or it is the open field of Sarif Bay or the very, very end of terminal next to the ATC tower. That's not really gameplay that offers much outside of maybe a couple of one-story houses and random fields. That's it. And then we all know underwater gameplay in Warzone 2 really isn't, I think, what we hoped it would be. You know, back on Warzone 1, you touched water, you instantaneously imploded. It was your arch nemesis for everyone. But in this game, it's hard to spot players underwater. They basically become invisible and invincible underwater because your bullet velo also just tanks underwater. You can use pistols and shoot those, but their velocity even sucks too. You have to lead bullets so much that underwater gameplay is just such a nuisance if you're actively trying to engage. Now, on the flip side, underwater is great if you're trying to escape a very sketchy situation because it's so hard to spot players, right? So it's very cheesy. And unfortunately, the way that they've made this gameplay for Fort Resurgence is that the zone isn't always focused on the fort and on Bagra Fortress. It pulls to the sides of Terminal or to the sides of Sharif Bay or to the middle bridge, or it pulls to the water where it's incredibly busted and it just does not work as intended. I feel like the zone should absolutely always be forced to focus on the fortress itself so you don't get taken away from the map point of interest right away in like zone 2 or 3. Unfortunately, the downside of that is that because this is such a condensed area, that's going to force even more action and probably knock out the lobby even faster. And that might be a good thing, that might be a bad thing, depending on what you want out of your gameplay. But that's one of the fatal flaws and big mistakes of this update. The second is the fact that this literally is playing out like it's an Al Mazrah match, but they've just focused on Bagra Fortress. Like, this really feels like it's mini royale just replaced in the Resurgence game mode and game style. Because if you look at your mini map, you can see the ammo caches on Al Mazrah. The trains are still actively moving on Al Mazrah. The redeploy balloons are there. They just simply changed the Al Mazrah gameplay rules to focus only on Fortress here, which to me says they could do this with basically any POI on Al Mazrah. And I feel like there's a pretty lengthy list of places that are maybe a bit more fun than Bagra Fortress and could play a lot better because you wouldn't have end zones that are constantly in water or the wide open fields that aren't even on the map's point of interest. You know, change over to City, change over to Hydroelectric, change to the top of Observatory, and you could have Resurgence style maps there. Basically change Mini Royale, which featured various different locations on Al Mazrah, and focus it to Resurgence and then rotate the locations. We could have a really cool rotation sort of Resurgence style playlist where one week it's Resurgence on Bagra Fortress, the next week it's Resurgence in Tarak Village, or Resurgence in Observatory or Hydroelectric or Sharif Bay, and you could rotate the POIs and bring in a more fresh and unique feel there. And then after a certain amount of time, you're going to get the feedback of, oh, players really disliked Rohan Oil Resurgence, but they loved City Resurgence, or they loved High Rise Resurgence. You could really optimize the Resurgence playlist for what the community actually loves playing and really focus in on the best experiences and takeaways from the rotation Resurgence style there, and offer some cool playlists. Will they do that? I have no idea, but I feel like it's a really good idea and one that could upgrade this sort of flopped Fort Resurgence update that we got this season. Not to mention there was like no communication on it. It was delayed an initial week. It was supposed to drop with Season 5 Reloaded. Then they delayed it the day of when Season 5 Reloaded dropped. And then leading up to its launch, we didn't even know if it was going to be dropping because they didn't communicate at all about it. So the entire update, I feel like, just kind of missed the mark in various ways. That's going to wrap things up for this video, though. If you agree with the points or if you just simply enjoyed the content, do me a favor, drop a like on it, would be seriously appreciated. And if you're new here, you want to guarantee you're always up to date with everything going on in COD, be sure to hit that subscribe button on your way out. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.